To the people shouting him down like, your movies suck, that's not true.
No, his movies are
don't
very good.
suck. He's one of the greatest actors. I mean, he's the heir apparent to Brando, blah, blah, blah. But he's a loon.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to just say what he is. He has, basically, I describe this to people. You know what's happening now? Because people are aware about concussions and the problems with CTE. When you get hit and you get a dinger in football, they put you in the blue tent, and the sideline.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen to Democrats. They need to go in the blue tent for a little bit, kind of, get your eyes checked, and then come out and be rational.
Robert De Niro just got roasted so badly, even his ego had to call for backup. Megyn Kelly and Rob Schneider joined forces in what felt like the political buddy roast nobody asked for, but now, everyone's watching. From Oscar speeches to open mic shade, De Niro's tough guy persona finally met its match. And spoiler alert, he definitely didn't get the last word. What did Rob say that made De Niro flinch? And why is Megyn smiling like it's Christmas morning? Grab some popcorn, this one's spicy.
The garbage outside today. Robert De Niro, officially sent by the Biden campaign, makes himself look like an idiot and reminds us why Trump is so popular.
It's so stupid. It was colossally stupid. If you're going to send somebody to go speak outside of the Trump trial, make it someone who's universally beloved, like a Michelle Obama. She's not universally loved. She's not loved on the right. But I'm saying, like, at least within the left and the center left, and maybe even some center righties.
Once a Hollywood legend, now the loudest grump with a microphone. Robert De Niro seems stuck in a loop of cinematic rage, only this time it's not for a role. The man who gave us Raging Bull is now just raging ... at everything. He's gone from silver screen icon to political parody, shouting at the sky like someone swapped his Oscar for a soapbox. Picture your cranky neighbor yelling at kids to stay off his lawn only. This one's got a press pass.
I was at the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you know this, but they're kind of liberal over there. And Robert De Niro was there. And I know that he hates Trump, and I've been very pro-Trump. At the end of the show, we walk up and I'm behind him, and all of a sudden people push me a little bit, So I'm directly behind De Niro, And he turns around. He's like, why? Trump is a schmuck. He makes you a schmuck. Schneider, I don't know why you could. It's just, I don't get it. He's making you a schmuck.
But don't worry, he wasn't yelling alone. Megyn Kelly and Rob Schneider showed up with verbal weed whackers and trimmed that rant down to size. De Niro didn't stand a chance. Just when you thought his political tirades couldn't get more over the top, Megyn Fox News alum turned podcast powerhouse and Rob Schneider, yes. That Rob Schneider decided it was roast time. And oh, they delivered.
Winner number 2, Robert De Niro. Congratulations, sir. Another Oscar for the iconic actor who, now 80, appeared on Bill Maher over the weekend and had some choice words about Donald Trump.
The guy is a total monster. And anybody, I don't understand it. I guess they get behind that kind of logic. They want to fuck with people, screw them, because they're unhappy about something. I never play him as an actor. Because I can't see any good in him. Nothing.
And man, did they roast him like a failed act at a high school talent show? This wasn't a debate. It wasn't even a clash of ideas. It was a full-scale public takedown, brutal, one-sided, and coming from two totally different but equally ruthless directions. Let's back up for a second. De Niro's been on this political tirade train for a while now. You know the routine: loud finger-pointing, dramatic speeches, and a generous helping of personal vendetta dressed up as righteous outrage.
When I see Robert De Niro, he's not a Trump supporter. He not like Trump, and I love Trump. And I said, well, I'm not going to have to deal with him. Now, at the end of the show, they do this wonderful thing. I love what Mike does, where he invites everybody on stage. If you've ever been a cast member, if you've ever hosted, he invites us all on stage. And everybody in the audience has been on for 50 years, so everybody there has been either on the show or hosted the show or been a cast member. So we're all walking, and all of a sudden, and I see De Niro like 2 rows in front of me, and all of a sudden people start pushing again. And the next thing I'm right behind De Niro, and I go, please don't push on me. He doesn't like Trump. And I bump into him, and he turns around. I swear to God, Schneider, I don't understand. He's a schmuck. Why can you support that? I don't understand how you could support that. He's turning a whole country into...
De Niro's recent speeches sound less like thoughtful commentary, and more like a mix between a political rally and a full-blown tantrum. All that's missing is the angry soundtrack and flashing red warning lights. The man once praised for playing layered, complex characters has seemingly reduced himself to shouting insults at half the country like it's the only role he remembers. But why? When did this iconic actor decide his new calling was becoming Hollywood's loudest political scold? It's like he mistook the entire nation for a movie set and cast his political opponents as the villains, delivering every line with the volume cranked to max. The problem is, that performance doesn't land like it used to. Moderates, conservatives, longtime fans are starting to cringe every time he grabs a mic. Watching De Niro rage these days feels like watching a bad reboot of a great film, bloated, off-key, and weirdly captivating in a train wreck kind of way. Then in steps Megyn, queen of composed takedowns. She didn't just brush off his outbursts. She went straight for the core. With surgical precision, Kelly dismantled the idea that a pampered Hollywood elite yelling at millions of Americans somehow qualifies as courage or insight. Her point was clear: when you spend your life in mansions and limos, maybe you're not the moral compass the country needs.
Could be tough for an actor to play such a hateful man. Someone like, I don't know, like Bernie Madoff, say. A guy who stole $65 billion from nuns and Holocaust survivors like Elie Wiesel and was sentenced to 150 years.
To Megyn Kelly, De Niro wasn't some fearless political truth-teller. He was just another aging celebrity cranking up the volume to mask the hollowness of his message. Her critique landed perfectly, part humor, part hard truth. She wasn't just mocking the yelling, she was calling out the hypocrisy. Celebrities like De Niro love to lob insults at half the country, then turn around and preach about unity like they're the poster children for peace. It's like watching someone smash your window, then give a TED talk on tranquility. That's the contradiction Kelly spotlighted, and it hit hard. She even tossed in some classic Megyn-style seasoning, reminding everyone that the man once praised for raging bull is now mostly famous for just raging. What was once a legendary acting career is starting to look more like a real-life performance piece on unchecked anger. And just as Kelly was finishing her verbal cleanup with sharp logic and icy precision, boom, Rob Schneider enters the scene from left field. The guy known for slapstick comedy didn't hold back. You'd expect him to dodge political heat, but nope, Schneider went full roast master. His jabs were fast, funny, and cut deeper than a film editor on a deadline. De Niro wasn't ready for that double team.
De Niro, who's got a severe case of the TDS, is in conference right now, as all of the muckety mucks are. And he's very unhappy about what Trump is doing to try to keep filmmaking, American filmmaking, in America by slapping tariffs on foreign-made films so that he can basically try to force people to make them domestically again for the American audience that they're meant to serve. And here's what De Niro said on Tuesday.
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions.
Schneider's approach was pure comedic chaos, a hilarious takedown that made De Niro's political rants feel like a bad SNL sketch. He didn't just mock De Niro, he flipped the script entirely, stepping in as the unlikely voice of reason. It was surreal, the guy from Deuce Bigalow suddenly sounding like the grown-up in the room, joking about how De Niro's once great legacy was now buried beneath a mountain of political bitterness. The twist, it worked. Schneider's jokes about De Niro being a bitter actor yelling at clouds didn't just land, they detonated. What could have been another dry political critique turned into a full-blown roast session, and the crowd was loving it. Suddenly, the underdog comic was stealing the spotlight from the Oscar winner, and that's where it got really interesting. While Megyn Kelly delivered a cold, calculated critiques, sharp, logical, and surgical, Schneider came in like a wrecking ball of absurdity and humor. Two wildly different strategies, but the same brutal result. De Niro, thoroughly humiliated. One cut with intellect, the other crushed with comedy. And together, they exposed De Niro's political persona for what it really was: dated, desperate, and more cringe than compelling.
What happened today outside the courthouse in New York, or Robert De Niro, of all people, shows up, and we know he's a Trump hater. We got that. But some of the things
Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure how he felt about Trump, Eric. I thought he was kind of on the fence, but frothingly angry. Well, I would say anytime that that people use fear-mongering or think like, they always say every 4 years, this is the most important election, this may be the last election, but for him to say today,
that he's never going to leave. I mean, he left once, so the evidence is he did leave.
But this isn't just about De Niro's outburst. Sid points to a much bigger cultural shift. Once upon a time, Hollywood activism was seen as bold, even noble. Now a growing number of people see it as preachy, tone-deaf, and downright exhausting. The public is fed up with millionaires in mansions delivering moral sermons, especially when those lectures are laced with condescension and rage. And De Niro has become the poster child for this shift, an icon who morphed into a cautionary tale of what happens when fame fuses with unchecked fury. That's why Kelly and Schneider's takedown hit so hard. They weren't just mocking De Niro, they were channeling a broader frustration with Hollywood's inflated self-importance. Kelly, with her media chops and sharp delivery, sliced through the noise with precision. Schneider, once dismissed as a one-note comic, wielded humor like a sledgehammer, smashing egos and expectations alike. Together, they made one thing crystal clear. Celebrity activism isn't above criticism, especially when it veers into unhinged, self-indulgent ranting. And the real twist. Instead of rallying people, De Niro's political tirades have only sparked more mockery. The internet lit up with memes, parodies, and praise for Kelly and Schneider's verbal smackdown. What was meant to be a political stand has turned into a punchline.
Well, it's a global problem because it's the greediness of these studios and some of these actors that, make a lot more money overseas than they would here. But I look at the film industry in the United States, and my father worked in the film industry in Boston. He was a transportation coordinator for the Teamsters Union, so I know a little bit about it. I look at the film industry as we have some of the most creative people in the world in the United States.
And just like that, the tables turned. The man once revered for his gritty, unforgettable roles became the punchline fodder for memes and jokes about aging celebrities who just can't exit the spotlight with grace. Suddenly, who knew Rob Schneider would be the adult in the room? Wasn't a sarcastic jab, it was the internet's new favorite observation. This whole saga is the perfect snapshot of the absurdity of modern celebrity politics. A man who once defined cool toughness is now getting publicly roasted by a conservative media powerhouse and the guy best known for saying "you can do it" in Adam Sandler movies. Instead of commanding respect, De Niro's political rants only highlight how out of step he is, like a relic from another era, shouting into a crowd that's already moved on. With Megyn Kelly delivering laser-sharp critiques, and Rob Schneider bringing the comedic hammer, the humiliation was complete. It's Hollywood versus Middle America. All over again, the classic standoff where rich celebrities in gated mansions preach morality, politics, and unity, while flashing their woke credentials like Oscars. And in this clash, Robert De Niro didn't just lose the debate, he became the symbol of exactly what people are fed up with. Fame without self-awareness. Activism without authenticity.
It was just great to see Oprah and Bruce Springsteen, De Niro losing their mind. Didn't make any difference because even the Amish people, they never vote. They're like, no, this time we're voting. Let's get the horse. Let's go. Come on, we're going there. Hey, Oprah, you, we're going to vote for the first time ever. That's it.
The public isn't just tired, they're over it. Because here's the truth, no matter how much anger you pack into a speech, no one wants to be yelled at by a finger-wagging, champagne-sipping celebrity perched on a mountain of privilege. Even liberals, the traditional defenders of Hollywood's political soapbox, are starting to roll their eyes. When De Niro rants, it doesn't feel bold. It feels like your grumpy grandpa yelling at the TV. It's like watching a legendary actor fumble through a TikTok live, awkward, irrelevant, and kind of sad. De Niro's no longer a voice of moral clarity. He's become a relic from a time when celebrity outrage was met with applause instead of apathy. His fury feels less like a stand for justice, and more like a prophetical, out of touch, and painfully outdated. Megyn Kelly and Rob Schneider saw the cultural tide turning, and they didn't hesitate to jump in. Kelly, with her unflinching media instincts, doesn't need a spotlight or golden statue to dismantle celebrity hypocrisy. She speaks for a growing crowd that's had enough of actors mistaking anger for wisdom. Her words cut clean logic over drama, truth over theatrics. And Schneider, the once goofy sidekick, flipped the script. He stepped up, not with lectures, but with laughter. His jokes hit hard because they exposed just how bloated and self-serious De Niro's rants have become. In a twist no one saw coming, the comic became the adult in the room, turning tired outrage into well-earned punchlines.
Hypocrisy is alive and well amongst these sanctimonious leftists. From Kimmel to De Niro to Stephanopoulos, they want you to believe they're better than you, more virtuous, more decent. But we all know the truth. They lie. They sin. They do the very things they accuse you of and the things that they say they would never do. Evil things. Like try to destroy people based on feigned outrage from which they spare their own son.
Together, Megyn Kelly and Rob Schneider became champions for a public fed up with the Hollywood arrogance that De Niro wears like a badge of entitlement. They tapped into a cultural moment where the gap between celebrity elites and everyday people has never been wider or more amusing. And here's the real kicker. Instead of rallying his base, De Niro's angry rants spectacularly backfired. The internet erupted not with fear or respect, but with memes, jokes, and relentless mockery. Suddenly, Schneider, the former Deuce Bigelow star turned unexpected hero, was the one people cheered for. While Kelly's no-nonsense takedown was praised like a masterclass in verbal judo, social media exploded with clips of their roast sessions, hashtags dripping with schadenfreude, and comments celebrating the spectacle. Who would have thought Rob Schneider would become the adult in the room and an instant meme? Meanwhile, De Niro's classic, "Shame on You" moments earned nothing more than a sarcastic eye roll and the universal internet clapback. Okay, boomer. The man who once commanded respect with gritty film roles had become the punchline to jokes about aging celebs refusing to retire their megaphones. The humiliation was complete and honestly beautiful. Kelly brought sharp logic and media savvy, tearing down the idea that fame and fortune grant political wisdom. Schneider wielded humor and absurdity, exposing De Niro's tantrums as less political passion and more performance art gone wrong. And De Niro, he just showed up with volume and that was about it. The moment the public collectively realized De Niro got schooled wasn't just a cultural event, it was a hilarious spectacle. A Hollywood titan humbled by a news host and a comedic underdog. It was less raging bull and more raging punchline. Turns out, yelling angrily into a microphone doesn't make you the main character, it just makes you a meme. So next time Robert De Niro gears up for another rant, remember there are people ready to meet him with logic, wit, and laughter. Kelly and Schneider made sure the angry grandpa act wasn't just annoying, it was downright hilarious.